All right, next item is the Riverside Brookfield Tax Area Property Tax Appeals Cooperative Intergovernmental Agreement.
So this is a good segue into what John was asking. So we're asking for this agreement. We had Eris come out and meet with all the municipalities and local governing boards that are dealing with these property tax appeals, District 96, North Riverside's Library Board, Comaric, and what we're generating is more or less a cooperative so that we're all using the same legal services to combat the tax appeals, and that we will split up the legal services accordingly, based on the amount of your tax bill that goes into that, or comes from that business, so that we're sharing the cost to help appeal these.
And what also does too, it shows them that it's a unified front. They can't try to pick up. It's a very smart move for saving money.
And one thing that Eris mentioned in that meeting is there are very smart people running all those businesses, and this is a right that they have, and they're going to appeal their taxes on a regular basis.
Every year. They have to.
So,
They're going to do.
you know, if you're a shareholder or a part of that business, you're going to want them to appeal those taxes every year as well. So this is something that's not going to go away.
Plus, this is not something new. A lot of other school districts and taxing bodies are doing this now, are starting to come together.
And when I heard that 4 years ago, I said, why don't we have a line item for that? If that's gonna be something that they're entitled to do every year, and they're doing every year, and it takes so long to resolve, the years in the hopper are years from long ago, so they haven't even caught up in time to appeal everything that's current. And so, you know, that was my thinking 4 years ago. Why don't we have a line item in the budget to account for this money that just comes right off this year's revenue to refund money we collected in a prior year, which, you know, we should have collected as a whole. We do a levy, we should be entitled to that whole amount of money. So this future year, we have this levy, and then a big chunk of it is just going back, and we lose that. So that's why we have that line item in there.
No, it's a great idea.
And so now we're pooling the resources a little and trying to cut down the expense of fighting the natural flow of the appeals.
Is your concern that the last 2 years we've had $300,000 sitting in an account that maybe could have went to something else?
No, I don't want to like have $1 million payout.
Okay.
No, I think the idea of a balanced budget and all this work that Tim does and all this look at the numbers, I mean, it has to mean something. And obviously 5 years ago, you know, they weren't that concerned about it because of this. There's no line item for this. It's definitely going to affect your final budget number. So I mean, that's.
Well, we don't really know what they did. They could have said, we're gonna collect 95% of the tax.
Yeah, that's true.
And what we're trying to do is we're saying we're gonna collect, what are we collecting?
98.
We're gonna budget that we're gonna collect 98% of the tax, but we're also gonna throw in this other
Well, I
line
mean,
item.
it's this whole idea, Tim, right, with the budgeting controls and everything.
I think it's a good, I don't
Yeah,
disagree
I mean,
with you,
that's
John.
like I think
It's a
this
big
board,
item.
the last 5 years, or 4 years, you know, has really pushed for that, and I think that's what people want. So and saving money like this is a great idea.
So
All
is
right.
that,
I have two.
is that a compliment
It's
to
a
my?
compliment.
It's a compliment.
I'm just trying to read through it a little, John. Thanks.
All right, do we have a motion on this, please?
Resolved that the Board of Education Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois, hereby approves the Riverside Brookfield Area Property Tax Appeals Cooperative Intergovernmental Agreement and has agreed to join in the cooperative as presented in the September 10th, 2013 board agenda packet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tim Walsh.
Can I ask two things? And I agree, I'm glad you did this. And it follows the state's requirement that we try to work with the other governmental agencies, so that's good. I still think it might be worthwhile, especially since you're getting to know all these agencies, that this co-op reach out to the other agencies that are benefiting from your appeals here to see if they'd be willing to toss in one, even if it's a
Such
small
as?
percentage. Well, again, just look at your, I could bring copy of my tax bill. There's 20 taxing
I
agencies
gotcha.
on it.
Okay.
The counties, there's like 6 from the county.
Okay.
And the second thing is, you know, again, since you're getting a lot of connections here, I fail to understand still in the whole taxing activity here is why, when a taxing body has to refund taxes, and often it's for many years prior that the money was collected and spent, that you can't add that amount back into your next levy. Because the theory is that those properties weren't taxed properly at the time. Had they been taxed properly, what they didn't pay would have been spread across the other taxpayers. So it's kind of like a double whammy. It's like, okay, because the county didn't, set the tax rate correctly or the value of their property, but because we, 5 years later, whatever it is, we have to refund money to them. But everybody else who was taxed in essence at a lower rate, every other property was taxed at a lower rate during that time, because that's how it works. Here's all the tax and it's allocated on some basis to all the property owners. So, I would like to make a suggestion, and maybe they've done it through the different agents, your school board agencies and your talk to legislators, to say, why can't we add that back into the next levy? Because it should have been paid by the other properties at that time anyway, instead of, in essence, having to just pay it back because one or two or three properties, or it might be a lot of properties, but a small percentage of them are getting a refund because they're challenging how their property was assessed at the time.
Tim, can we follow up with Eris on that?
Tim, you're making a great point there, but a counter argument is it takes away the incentive to fight it. So, but you're making a good point.
Plus, if I own property now that I didn't own 5 years ago, you're now
There's
hitting
pluses,
me.
there's
I think you'd
arguments
have a
for
better
and
chance of
against.
getting a
Opposed to
left
mine.
turn light out on Forest.
With regard to this co-op agreement, do we have to, as a board, assign somebody to be the agent, to be our agent?
I think that's your superintendent and your business manager.
I don't know, I'm just asking
Do
from
we have to formalize that? Is
from a
that-
procedural thing, do we have to do that? I don't know. Because we're agreeing to join a co-op, and then do we then have to,
I would
as
say
a
if
board,
you want-
assign somebody
If you want to
to be our
include it
rep?
in the,
I don't,
if you
I'm
want
just
to
asking
include it
a
in the,
procedural question.
Once
if you want to include it in the
resolution.
resolution, I would suggest the superintendent or designee.
So, who made the motion?
I did.
All right, so
Should've shut
if you
up.
want to amend that, that the District 208's representatives will
It's in
be.
paragraph 2A on page 98. It said unless we say something different, it's going to be the co-op member shall be the co-op member's chief business official, director of finance, or executive director, determined in the sole discretion of the co-op member.
Okay.
That's
So
all
we're
right.
okay.
So I think that was
So
covered.
if we agreed to agree, okay.
Yeah, if you read, yeah, okay, Mary Ann, please go for the vote.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Gryczan?
Yes.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Mr. Cindy?
Yes, before we move on to our next one, I was gonna do this after the budget, and then, John started with talking about the tax appeals. Tim and Kevin, but Tim especially, great job on the budget. It's honing better and better every time we're seeing it, and it's light years from what we've seen when we started on the board, so I think you're doing a great job with that, so. And Kevin, with your guidance too, I think that's really helped a lot, so.
Good job. Definitely.